Teddy, there's never been another male singer like Teddy. He was tall, dark, and handsome, and just everything.
Stephanie Mills just dropped the names of the gay artist Teddy Pendergrass secretly dated. Wait till you hear number 7. For years, people have been talking about Teddy's private life. It really started getting attention when folks began watching his concerts more closely. Things got even crazier when rumors started flying about him being involved with the likes of Marvin Gaye and Luther Vandross. Then came the accident that changed everything, and somehow it brought a whole new light to the story. Let's get into it. Teddy Pendergrass was born in South Carolina in 1950, but raised in Philadelphia, where church and soul music shaped his voice. In the early 70s, he joined Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes as a drummer, but his powerful baritone quickly made him the frontman. After feeling overshadowed, he went solo in 1976 and became one of R&B's biggest stars with hits like Love TKO, Close the Door, and Turn Off the Lights. His concerts, especially the For Ladies Only shows, made him a sensation. But in 1982, at the height of his fame, Teddy was in a late-night car crash in Philadelphia. He survived, but was paralyzed from the chest down. His passenger, nightclub performer, and trans woman, Tanika Watson, was injured, but able to escape. The crash sparked rumors and speculation that lasted for years, but the truth of that night has never been fully clear. The crash didn't just change his life, it also amplified rumors of his secret affairs that were already in the air. Around the same time Teddy met Tanika, the trans woman, there was quiet talk about his personal life that started circling through the industry. Life has new me. One of the first rumors connected him to singer Billy Ocean. The story goes that in the late 70s, when both of them were touring the East Coast, they supposedly got really close. Billy Ocean, by the way, was born in Trinidad and moved to England as a kid. He worked as a tailor while singing in clubs, tried a few stage names, and eventually stuck with Billy Ocean. His early albums didn't do much, but he did land a big hit in 1976 with Love Really Hurts Without You, which made the charts in both the UK and the US. Now, people who were around Billy and Teddy at the time claimed the two spent a lot of time alone together. We are talking about long private talks backstage, locked dressing room doors, disappearing after shows. And of course, that's when the rumors started. Some claimed their connection seemed deeper than just two artists on tour. They were seen sharing quiet laughs, private meals, and moments that looked a little more personal than professional fans even picked up on it, saying their chemistry on stage felt effortless, almost magnetic. This remained a serious topic of speculation back then. Still, like most industry stories, there was never any proof to the claims. And, just like that, it fizzled out. Then there were the rumors about Marvin Gaye and Teddy. Marvin was born on April 2, 1939, in Washington, D.C. He grew up in a strict and often difficult home, especially because of his father. Music became his escape early on. In fact, he sang in church and school groups. He later dropped out of high school, tried the Air Force for a bit, and then helped form a vocal group. That path eventually took him to Chicago and then Detroit, where he landed a deal with Motown. At first, Marvin wasn't even in the spotlight. He began this trajectory as a session drummer, but once he started recording his own songs, things officially took off. Tracks like Stubborn Kind of Fellow, Hitchhike, and Pride and Joy put him on the map. Then came his iconic duets with Tammy Terrell, especially Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Her illness and passing hit him hard, even though his career kept climbing. And by 1968, he had his first #1 with I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Now, about Marvin and Teddy, people used to talk about how close they were. They were close to a fault, and it all started during those long studio nights when both of them would stay behind after everyone else left. They'd write, experiment, talk for hours, just vibing and pushing each other creatively. Of course, these moments were mostly intimate, and before long, folks around the industry noticed how tight they seemed. They seemed almost inseparable. Soon enough, whispers started. Some claimed you could hear something deeper in certain songs. Maybe it's the little emotional hints tucked inside their individual lyrics. Nothing was ever confirmed, though, but the speculation? It only grew fonder and fonder, day by day. By the time the 80s came around, both were huge stars, and the story of their quiet, almost mysterious bond became one of those music industry legends that never really disappeared. Whether it was true or not, there hasn't been any recent revelation. And it didn't even stop there. You definitely know Barry White. Well, his name came up too.
You keep telling me this and telling me that. You say
Barry, born Barry Eugene Carter in 1944, was an American R&B and disco legend. He was known for his deep, smooth voice and romantic style. He became really famous in the 1970s with songs like Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Babe, and You're the First, the Last, My Everything. He also led the Love Unlimited Orchestra, creating that big, rich soul sound he became known for. Throughout his career, Barry released 20 studio albums and sold over 100 million records worldwide. He earned several gold and platinum awards and won 2 Grammys. He grew up in Texas and Los Angeles, and even though his early life was rough, music helped him turn everything around and become a major name in R&B, soul, and disco. He stayed relevant through the 70s and even made solid comebacks in the 80s and 90s.
your love I'll keep forevermore. You're the first.
Now, the rumors about Barry and Teddy are still what people talk about today. Some folks in the industry said their bond went deeper than just music. They both had that smooth, emotional style that made people feel something, and that alone made the rumors believable. Insiders claimed the two spent late nights talking about life, love, and what fame really felt like. Some even said they met up privately after studio sessions, where they seemed more relaxed and close. Those private moments opened up some wild speculations about both legends. In fact, word was that there's a story that won't stop going about. It was about Teddy once singing a very personal, emotional song just for Barry. It seemed almost like a confession rather than a performance, and it only made things a little more intense between fans. However, this story, like others, disappeared with no concrete evidence, no photos, no recordings, just stories whispered from one person to another. And then there was Luther Vandross. Luther was born in 1951 and was an American R&B and soul singer, songwriter, and producer, famous for his smooth, emotional voice and romantic songs. He grew up in Manhattan, New York, and showed he had a gift for music really early. He taught himself piano at just 3. After his dad passed away when he was 8, music became a big part of his life. He got his start singing in groups and doing backup vocals for big names like David Bowie, Diana Ross, Chaka Khan, and Aretha Franklin. His big break came in 1980 when he sang lead on Change's The Glow of Love. Soon after, he launched his solo career with Never Too Much in 1981, which featured the hit title track.
Love you, you're at the top of my list 'cause I'm always thinking of.
People said Luther and Teddy shared a really close bond in the late 70s and early 80s, one that went beyond just making music together. They spent hours together. Maybe it's touring or recording in low-lit studios, or even staying up late crafting songs full of emotion. Folks who saw them work said their connection was deeper than just creative chemistry. It went as deep as having a profound intimacy. In fact, there were whispers of private dinners, long nights of talking more than recording, and secret little trips nobody else knew about. Some insiders even thought Luther had stronger feelings for Teddy, but kept them private, letting the music do the talking. A few said you could even hear it in the songs they made together. Neither of them ever addressed the rumors publicly. Through it all, they stayed professional, focused on the music, and kept everything else quiet. Still, the closeness they shared left behind a sense of mystery that people in the industry still quietly talk about, even decades later. And the rumors didn't stop there. In fact, they only got more fun. There was talk of a secret connection between Lionel Richie and Teddy Pendergrass, too.
Come on and sing along. We're going to.
Of course, everyone knows Lionel was born on June 20th, 1949, in Tuskegee, Alabama. He's an American singer, songwriter, and producer. Growing up on the Tuskegee Institute campus, he played piano from a young age and even studied economics before diving into music. He got his start with the Commodores in the late 60s, writing and singing hits like Easy, 3 Times a Lady, and Sail On. He also wrote for other artists, including Kenny Rogers' Lady, and sang a famous duet with Diana Ross on Endless Love. Richie went solo in 1982 with his self-titled album, then blew up with Can't Slow Down in 1983, featuring All Night Long and Hello. He won Grammys, an Oscar for Say You, Say Me, and even took part in USA for Africa's We Are the World. His 1986 album Dancing on the Ceiling added even more hits, making him one of the top balladeers of the 80s. As his solo career was hitting its stride, whispers started circulating in the music world about a special bond between him and Teddy. People said it wasn't just admiration, it was also a level of passion and intentionality. They supposedly shared private moments that almost no one else saw. The whispered talks backstage at award shows, quiet corners at hotel parties, and long nights just talking away from the spotlight. Anyone who noticed them together often mentioned a closeness that felt deeper than friendship, something unspoken but real. Those who knew them said they connected over the pressures of fame, the loneliness, and the ups and downs of life in the public eye. Both were smooth, charming, and confident on stage, but offstage, they seemed to understand each other in a way no one else could. Nothing was ever proven, not even a photo nor a valid interview, but just stories passed quietly from one insider to another. And like most music industry rumors, it stuck around, whispered in studios and dressing rooms long after the cameras moved on. Then came talks about Teddy Riley. Teddy Riley grew up in Harlem, New York, and showed he had a gift for music from a really young age. He played instruments in church and spent time in his uncle's club studio. By the time he was 15, he was already working with artists like Dougie Fresh. He started making a name for himself, producing hits like Kool Moe Dee's Go See the Doctor and Dougie Fresh's The Show. In 1987, he co-founded the R&B group Guy and went on to produce for Big Daddy Kane, The Jacksons, James Ingram, and Rex and Effect. He even co-produced half of Michael Jackson's Dangerous album and helped shape R&B and hip-hop through the 90s.
I first heard the Aretha Franklin song, Chain, Chain, Chain. I just thought that music was just so animated.
Back in the late 80s, Riley was still a young, hungry producer when he first crossed paths with Teddy Pendergrass. Not many people know this, but some old-school music folks still whisper about it. The story goes that Pendergrass saw something special in Riley and decided to guide him, offering advice, studio time, and connections to help him get ahead. What started as mentorship apparently turned into a bond that was hard for people to define. Insiders said they spent long nights in the studio, talking about music, life, and personal struggles. Their conversations were said to be unusually private, and some thought their connection went beyond just work. There were even stories about Pendergrass taking a protective interest in Riley. He would check in on him, guide his career, and keep him close. Of course, nothing was ever confirmed, per usual. No photos, no proof, but quiet stories that floated around music circles. And like a lot of tales from that era, it stuck around. Out of all the rumors about Teddy Pendergrass, the one with Stevie Wonder was definitely the biggest.
I love you. I just call.
Stevie was born Steveland Hardaway Judkins on May 13, 1950, in Saginaw, Michigan, was blind from birth complications. A musical prodigy, he sang in church and learned to play multiple instruments. Signed by Motown at just 11 as Little Stevie Wonder, he scored a #1 hit with Fingertips at 13, becoming the youngest artist to top the Billboard Hot 100. In the 70s, Stevie changed R&B with albums like Talking Book, Inner Visions, Fulfillingness's First Finale, and Songs in the Key of Life, giving the world hits like Superstition, Living for the City, and Sir Duke, earning him multiple Grammys. In the 80s, he kept dominating with Hotter Than July, The Woman in Red, and In Square Circle, creating global hits like I Just Called to Say I Love You and Part-Time Lover. He also worked with big names like Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen, and Michael Jackson, and contributed to charity classics like We Are the World.
When the world must come together as one.
The rumors about him and Teddy swirled for years. Both were icons. They were soulful, emotional, and deeply into their music. So, when they started spending a lot of time together, people noticed there was an obvious chemistry and comfort between them, and whispers started spreading. Insiders said their friendship felt warm and personal, maybe even intimate. They reportedly spent hours in the studio. It wasn't about work, not even related to recording, but talking about love, heartbreak, fame, and the pressures of being musical geniuses. There were quiet dinners, late-night conversations, and private hangouts that hinted at a closeness people didn't fully understand. Some people speculated it might have been romantic, but as usual, there was no proof. Even today, years after Teddy Pendergrass passed away, those old rumors still float around. Fans still talk, wondering if there was ever any truth to them, or if they were just another layer of mystery around a man who seemed larger than life. Teddy had that magnetic kind of presence that made people curious. He was bold, charming, and had a way of pulling attention without even trying. On stage, he was pure fire. Every movement seemed deliberate. Every note he hit was laced with a magnetic intensity that left the audience breathless. He didn't just perform, he commanded. His gaze alone could hold a room hostage, a single look enough to silence whispers and stop hearts. The way he moved, the way he leaned into the music, everything suggested a man entirely at ease with himself, yet impossibly dangerous in his allure. Off stage, that same energy clung to him like a shadow. He walked through life with the same smooth confidence, each gesture precise, each word measured yet effortless. People noticed the subtle tilt of his head, the slow, knowing smile, the way he lingered in a moment just long enough to make it electric. There was a quiet intensity about him, the kind that made strangers lean in, wanting to unravel the mystery, to get closer, to see what drove the fire burning beneath that calm, composed exterior. But honestly, even if any of those stories had truth to them, would it really change how people see him? Probably not. His music, his voice, and the way he made people feel, that's what stuck. The man might have been surrounded by mystery, but the respect he earned as one of soul's greatest voices never faded. Rumors or not,